What is up, my squad of lights? It is I, your king, welcoming you back to another weekly update. Sorry about not getting this up yesterday, but it's here now, so don't worry about that too much. And I promise to get these up on a weekly basis still. Every Tuesday is the goal, but yes, I'm going to still be making these throughout the break because, I mean, they're freaking easy. I grabbed some Overwatch gameplay off of my that's on my PlayStation hard drive and throw it up and talk for 20 minutes. That's really all there is to it. So, yeah, these are still going to be a thing, promise, and I'll try to be more regular about them. But another thing I actually wanted to talk about, well, first I should say, Firewatch, I'm going to get that going here soon, I promise. I need to start re-recording everything and making sure that I have all the dialogue options exactly the same as what they were on the first attempt. I basically only have to record about an hour and 10 minutes worth of stuff, so hopefully should be able to get that fixed, re-record the rest of that, and then I should be good to go. Sorry that hasn't really been happening, but on top of all the de-stressing and on top of just the technical issues and whatnot, it's been kind of hard to even get around to doing that again. But aside from that, the next thing I kind of want to talk about was something I've been kind of thinking about doing is another video series kind of similar to this, where I just kind of talk and show gameplay. It wouldn't be anything too... it wouldn't be a regular series. It wouldn't really be anything too extensive or anything. It would just be kind of... Or I guess I shouldn't say the word extensive. I guess the word would be complicated or flashy or anything. It would just basically be me talking about a game and overlaying the gameplay with while I talk about that game and just kind of discussing thoughts on it. This would be kind of a, contrary to first impressions where I only really get to talk about my first 20-30 minutes of the game going in blind. Obviously, I can't play every game in that format, not to mention there's a very big difference between experiencing a game while recording it and, just sitting down with a sandwich and a soda and, enjoying it at my own leisure. It's very, very different, and is honestly my way I prefer to do things. I want to actually start cutting out the blind Let's Plays here soon. The Last Guardian is going to be an exception because that will be day one, but as far as any other Let's Plays go, I'm going to try to not do the blind thing anymore. I want to be able to, I want to know what I'm doing going in, because they just don't really lend well to commentary. They just don't. Not in my opinion, anyway. So I was thinking, instead, when I play through certain games, and I'm not going to do videos on it right off the bat, I could dedicate a video to showing some gameplay, but then also talking about it. It wouldn't be any particular gameplay, it'd just be something I'd have, throw it up, and talk about it for 15-20 minutes, and just kind of go into detail. It'd be kind of like a long-form review of the game, I guess, is what it would be, but not scripted in any way, shape, or form. It'd just be kind of my thoughts after, like, oh, I played this amount of game or finished this game, and I just wanted to tell you what I think about it, and if I liked it enough, maybe I'll let's play it someday in the future. Who knows? That kind of stuff. On top of that, though, I was also thinking about doing that kind of stuff for... I was thinking about doing it for Destiny. I still don't know yet because I'm not really... I haven't really played Destiny in over a month. Almost, yeah. Okay, that's not true. I played a couple hours in the last month and a half. But that's the most I've done. And I really haven't played any in a while, nor do I plan to play any until the expansion comes out. And even then, I don't think I'm going to be into it as much as I was. But as far as like games like that are concerned, like Destiny, and especially at the moment Overwatch, I was thinking about doing several videos of this nature, especially when there's changes made, and kind of my thoughts on the game and whatnot, and just things I've observed, and talking about, because I wanted to make Overwatch videos, but I can't really go in depth with that kind of stuff, or go full out with that stuff yet, because I don't have the resources nor the time to be able to make those kinds of videos yet. So those are going to unfortunately be on the back burner for a while. But at some point I want to do it. So this would just be kind of a precursor to that. While the game's still young and whatnot, and while the lore is still young, I'd still be able to like talk about certain characters, talk about my thoughts on this and this, things I love, things I don't love about it. I'd like to be able to just talk about it, bring up points of discussion, because Overwatch is, it's probably the most widely discussed and widely played game amongst people I know personally that I've ever played on this channel. I have several friends that are into this game, which is so much different from any other multiplayer game I've ever played, which really isn't all that many. And I don't know, it's such a broadly appealing game. I feel like it's worth having points of discussion and stuff like that. I think it's worth talking about. So, I don't know. We'll see if I can get around to that. I'd like to. Next thing I wanted to talk about, though, were the 2 games that came out between this update and the last. And that was Abzu, and only because this video is late, No Man's Sky. Those were two games I said I was going to do videos on at some point. Glad I'm not doing them in the blind format, for both games, honestly, because, I'm about to talk about it here in a second, but, Abzu, I will say, I've already played it, and I've beaten it, and I very, very much enjoyed it. Abzu is, in essence, Underwater Journey. It's made by the same company, not the same company, it's made by much of the same team. It's a spiritual successor in almost every way. Freak, it's modeled the same way. It's almost got the exact same kind of pacing. It's just an underwater environment. It does use a different engine. I know Journey used like the Fire engine or something like that, and then this one uses, I think Abzu uses Unreal Engine or something like that. I think it's Unreal Engine 4. But aside from that, they're almost the same, like the pacing and everything. There's a couple technical differences. Obviously, the gameplay is a bit different. I would say this gameplay is actually more involved than Journey was, because Journey, while you're just kind of jumping and walking around, this one had actually a little bit more in-depth to its swimming mechanics, and there were a few more interesting things you could do with it. On top of that, there was the actual sea life in the game, and you could actually learn the names of them, and they, there was tons and tons of different sea life you can interact with in the game. But aside from that, it was pretty much the same kind of game. Yet this game has been lambasted for some reason, and I'm unable to understand why. There's a couple frame rate hitches on the PS4, but they're not even like really frame rate hitches actually, because and I checked this. The complaint is that when there's really large groups of fish, and there's I think there's 2 points in the game where you'll come across like a school of fish that's so massive it'll take up your whole screen, and you'll swim right through it. And when you go through that, supposedly the frame rate hitches. Well, that's not actually true. Your character and the environment stays. It's because of the large amount of fish on screen, it's actually the fish, their animation just suddenly slows down, or I wouldn't say slows down, I would say drops frames. I feel like they're suddenly moving at like 10 frames a second as opposed to the rest of the game, which is maintaining its consistency. I wouldn't say it's 10 frames. It's like 30, because I think the game runs at 60, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, it was just that I think they were just compensating with the number of things on screen rather than the actual game dipping in frame rate. Because if you ever go through that and you can see, behind the school of fish or around the outside, or look at your actual character himself, they don't change. It's just the fish animation. So I wouldn't even really consider that dropping frames. I would consider that, there's actually a technical limitation, and they made that happen on purpose, or something to that effect, which in my mind just goes, well, then why did we need to have that many fish on screen in the first place? Regardless, anyway, that was the only thing I noticed that was wrong with the game, and I think the only other complaint I've seen, which is the stupidest complaint I've seen ever regarding this game, is that, it's just a Journey copycat. Okay, well, again, it's the same company. They're kind of allowed to do that. It's technically it's a spiritual successor. All right. It's if anyone has the right, that's like saying BioShock 2 is a copycat of BioShock 1. It doesn't make sense. And on top of that, this is not a tired formula, like in the slightest. There's 2 other games in this genre that exist, and you want to know what those 2 games are? They are Flower and they are Journey. They're the only games in this genre of game that exist, like, at all. And I wouldn't even necessarily say Flower is the exact same. It's a bit different, but as far as like these atmospheric, like, kind of, linear experiences that are from a third-person perspective and are all visual storytelling, these are the only games that really exist that are good and competent. All the rest are pretty bad, and it's just like I don't really get what I don't really get that complaint. I don't get that complaint on it being a repetitive, tired formula. This isn't like a survival game or a crafting game or you know all these other games that have thousands and thousands of different versions of it on Steam. No, this is the third in existence that's like this. It's not. You literally could sit down and in 6 hours be done with all 3 of these games, and you'd never have another game like it. I don't really. Why is that a complaint? I don't know. I don't usually like to pick on reviewers. I really actually hate it. I think it's stupid because everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I will say that seeing a lot of the reviews on Abzu were probably some of the most outlandish, ridiculous, and I almost feel a bit unfair I've seen really in a long time. I would say probably since Assassin's Creed Unity, because frankly that game deserved all the 0s out of 10s in the world. But regardless, Abzu's good. It's really good. If you like Journey, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic game. Obviously, I'm sure people will say, well, the PC version's better, and I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's better. But you know what? I still enjoyed it on the PS4. So I think it's actually one of those instances where, yeah, it's kind of fine either way on either console. And like I said, there's like 2 scenes, and these literally last for like 3-4 seconds where it looks kind of like the frame rate drops, but I don't even think it actually is. Then let's move on to No Man's Sky. I'm glad I dropped my pre-order on that game. So I know that people are enjoying it right now. There are a fair amount of people, because, I mean, I'm recording this on Tuesday, and it's launched, and I can see that there are a fair amount of people that are enjoying the game. They like its style, okay? I just have a few problems with it. Now, No Man's Sky was very poorly marketed, in my opinion. Very poorly marketed, both on Sony's part and also on Hello Games' part. Because they made it seem like this game was more than it is. They were very ambiguous in detailing what the game is about, what it is. And honestly, I can very easily describe the genre that this game fits in. Like, very easily. You want to know what it is? It's a crafting, survival, open world game with just to the nth degree, because it has a ton of procedurally generated elements. That's it. That's all it is. It's another crafting and survival game, like the thousands on Steam. Yes, it's a much better quality than a lot of those. Yes, it's huge, but at the same time, I wouldn't really give the planets too much credit, because none of the planets themselves are diverse. They're all just each planet is a singular biome, and like if you land on an ice planet, that whole planet's the ice planet. I mean, if you land on a jungle planet, that whole planet's a jungle planet. I mean, granted, a lot of sci-fi things do that. Star Wars does it, for crying out loud. I mean, desert planet, jungle planet, forest planet, etc., etc. But I mean, like, you can walk like a couple hundred feet and experience everything that planet has to offer to you, which isn't really all that interesting. On top of that, a lot of people are comparing No Man's Sky in a way as a glorified Minecraft, because, obviously crafting and survival. Here's the thing that Minecraft does, though, that No Man's Sky does not, and that is allow you to turn around and create with this stuff. No Man's Sky, all it does is improve your suit, improve your ship, and improve your weapon, and that's like literally it. Just so you can get to the center of the universe to end the game. And it's tedious. I think it's tedious personally. Yeah, there's wildlife. Yeah, the procedurally generated elements can get fun, but it's one of those games where, and I think I agree, from watching so much gameplay, about 5 hours and you've experienced pretty much all the game can throw at you. I mean, no one's really been surprised by much. Yeah, you'll see some weird aliens, and yeah, you'll go on another planet and it'll be a completely different biome, a completely different alien race, but you know what? It doesn't really get you. You kind of expected that already. And I don't know. Me personally, I despise survival and crafting games. In fact, I would say Minecraft's the one I like the most, and I don't even like Minecraft. And that's an extreme case too. Doesn't even really fit in the genre as a lot of other games like Rust and stuff like that. It's not really even the same kind of game. It just has crafting and survival elements in it. Any of those kinds of games, I've never enjoyed them. Especially the crafting systems. Those get super tedious. And while the survival elements in No Man's Sky aren't harsh, thank goodness, They're mostly just, you know, air radiation and keeping your suit up so you don't you don't freeze to death or burn up, depending on the climate of the planet you're on. But even still, it's tedium. It's tedium. I think the idea I got, and a lot of other people got, was that this was going to be a game that was mostly about exploration. And to an extent it is. It is a lot about exploration, but without all of the hindrances and bullcrap in between. I mean, there was other ways you could have made the gameplay interesting, and it feels like they just kind of did it with more contrived themes, like a really terrible first-person combat system and an almost as bad space combat system. And that's the thing, is No Man's Sky is a nice experience, but it's not a good game. Not a very good game at all. And I think the thing that just frustrates me is, like, this was not a game that needed to be so difficult to explain. Okay, it's really not. This is a very simple game. The only thing that's different about it, that separates it from the rest, is the 15 quintillion planets or something like that are procedurally generated, which, let's be fair, all they are is they're taking all these different, you know, possibilities and just making one of every single possibility and turning them all into their own planet. Like, that's really all it is. So it wasn't that hard to I don't really think it was that difficult. I really don't. But apparently it was, and it would have been so much easier to figure. I mean, it wouldn't have felt so underhanded if they hadn't marketed it like that. Shame on you guys. But regardless, No Man's Sky, if you're into that kind of stuff, go for it. I'm personally not, so that's a hard pass for me. I won't be making any videos on it. So the only last thing I wanted to talk about was, and just, this is kind of a more lighthearted topic, but I just kind of wanted to gush a little bit about 2016, because I know a lot of people have said, oh, 2016 has been an awful year, blah, blah, blah. You know, with all of the politics and all of the bullcrap that's going on and all of the horrific events that have happened and stuff like that. And, yeah, I mean, stuff does suck, but as a gamer, okay, gaming is my passion. Video games are well, I guess not my one passion, but they are a passion. I think that, you know, if you're watching this, you probably also like video games. And you know what? I think this year, in terms of the software that has come out, has been quite an uplifting year in that regard. Because, gosh, this year has probably been one of the best, if not the best year I've ever experienced in gaming. So many good games. Now, I guess you could argue that for Nintendo fans, not so much. Really, all they've had is Fire Emblem Fates Conquest or whatever, but otherwise they've been kind of barren. But aside from that, it's been a really good year for indies and non-indies alike. I mean, let's talk about like some of the AAA releases that were really good. And I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily call all these total AAA releases, but they were high-profile first-party or second-party releases, I guess. Like Uncharted 4, obviously. Huge. Great game. Fantastic end to a fantastic series. Overwatch, okay? Like, that is still, like, the highlight game of the year so far. It's just... It's the leader of one of the biggest, most emergent, and one of the most popular and loved genres right now. There's Ratchet & Clank that came out for the PlayStation 4. I mean, yeah, the movie was pretty bad, but the game was awesome. The game was really, really good. It might not have been as good as some people gave it credit for, because there were some plot holes that you actually needed to see the movie for, which was kind of stupid. But aside from that, it was a great game. It was gorgeous. It was lovely. Dark Souls 3 was great. It was much better, much bigger improvement on Dark Souls 2, which tried to go too much of the big budget route and tried to actually almost tame things. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it was easy, but it was tame compared to the first Dark Souls and Demon's Souls, and they kind of recaptured their stride with Dark Souls 3. And also there's Doom. There's freaking Doom. Now, I haven't actually personally gotten to play much more of Doom other than the demo, but Doom's awesome, and everyone, almost everyone agrees. It's just so fun. It's so fast-paced. It's so silly. It's so campy. It's great. It's like the perfect homage to one of the most legendary video games of all time. And then there's the indies, Abzu, which I've already talked about in this video. Firewatch, which is, I mean, I'm Let's playing it right now, but it's a fantastic game. Fury, which I've talked about a bit. And what was it? Inside, which I haven't even gotten to play yet, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. There was The Witness, another game I haven't been able to play, unfortunately, but again, amazing things. And then, of course, there were other games such as, there's a couple good fighting games like Pokken and the Naruto Storm 4. I still advocate that those games are fantastic. Yes, they might be very simple, but that's kind of why I like them, because they're easy to pick up, they're fun to play for a few minutes, they're not anything I'd get super into, but they're really, really fun games in the moment. And then Trackmania Turbo, was it Trackmania Turbo? Yeah, it's Trackmania Turbo, I'm stupid. Trackmania Turbo, probably the only game sanctioned by Ubisoft, EA, or the like this year that was fantastic, and really is the only reason it finally made it to console was because of them, and I actually thank them for that, because I think Trackmania games are awesome. That game was awesome. This has been a really, really good year. Now, granted, the rest of the year doesn't look quite as nice. It looks a little bit more grim and gritty and kind of boring. I mean, because what do you got? Yeah, Gears of War 4. Not saying that this game's boring. I'm just saying it's all it's no more of the fun, lighthearted, campy stuff. Now it's gotta get serious. Call of Duty, Battlefield, Titanfall, Gears of War. It's all that stuff. But hey, who knows? They could surprise us. I don't have high hopes for 2 of those, but at the same time, they could surprise us. You don't know. And then, of course, there's also The Last Guardian coming. There's ReCore. The Destiny Rise of Iron expansion. I mean, if you're still interested in Destiny for some reason, I'm actually excited for it now. I've seen enough now, and I'm actually kind of hyped about the PvE aspect of it. I probably won't ever play that PvP again, but hey, I mean, even that looks good in my opinion. We still got more to go, more to come this year, and it's been fantastic already. One of the best years in gaming. And I'd say that is a bright spot amongst all of the doom and gloom. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this update. Thank you all so very much for watching. And I will see you all in the next one.